It's Chillmonger, it's Dre Mac. We wish we could be reporting something nicer to you, but the solicits for the month of April, which come out early February, sometimes late January, we can see that there is the Beware the Planet of the Apes series, there's Black Widow, there's Blade, there's Blood Hunt, there's no Black Panther. Alphabetically, you would think that the Black Panther would show up here, and it's not. Take me to this page on League of Comic Geeks where it says Legacy 22 final issue. You had an Instagram post about this, so what do you think?
On my Instagram post, I went straight after the anti-recasters. And the reason why I went after the anti-recasters is because these are the people who are fighting against the Black Panther. We don't, anybody can be Black Panther. You can put anybody in a suit, yada, yada, yada. And the hardcore fans is the one who's trying to keep this comic alive. And look what happens again. We're 10 issues in and the series gets canceled. It's the final issue. And it pisses me off because I'm thinking to myself, it's like you fought us so hard for just anybody to get in there, and now look what's going on. We can't even keep the comic run, which is a pretty good run. Eve Ewing's run is a pretty good run. I tagged her in my post. I gave her flowers. Pretty good run because you guys don't support. You complain, but you don't support. This is where we're at right now, and it sucks.
I have a little bit of a different kind of like take on what you did and you're tagging Eve Ewing and giving her love. If she, of her own free will, was honoring the prior writing of Volume 8 and the decisions there of the status of not being king, I have no love for her. If she's fighting a behind the scenes battle saying how important this character is, but it's editorial saying, no, 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 he can be an Avenger again. We can undo that, but we will not undo that he's the king of Wakanda. Then, yeah, she's fighting the good fight, which I don't know. Maybe there'll be a tell-all interview one day. For it to come to an end at issue number 10, I think that many readers, potential readers, picked up the comic book and saw he wasn't the king and then put it back on the shelves. I think that this decision, well, of course, it's based on sales, but why isn't the comic selling, with a few extra thousands, may have had enough legs to get to 15 and then made it maybe to the 20? Because, every 5 they write for the trade. You know that, Dre know that. But if you guys don't know that, this was in cancellation territory. They said, we can go another 5, or we can just, reboot with a number 1 limited series of Black Panther. And the number 1s sell really well. And that'll be more profitable than issue 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. My main point here is that I just don't credit Eve Ewing until I know otherwise.
And I understand what you're saying, and it reminds me of the Deadpool run by Scotty Young. When Young took over Deadpool, it literally went 10 issues, and then I didn't hear from Deadpool for 8 months. And this is what it reminds me of. Now I don't know if it is editorial situations where they're like, hey, I have this idea and this and that and the other, but like, no, we want to push the Ultimate T'Challa, or we want to do this that, and the other. I don't know, but for the simple fact is that what I'm saying, we're getting cut off after 10 issues. Is hurtful, and that's the run that you brought up. That's the Scotty Young run. I think
15 issues.
it went 15 issues.
15 issues in 2018 to 19, and then in 2019, in comes Kelly Thompson to do. I think it was also 10, and she makes 10. It to 10 and gets canceled also because it just didn't have longevity. Same situation. 15 down to 10, and then if you want to see Deadpool again, you'll see him in a limited series. Same thing kind of happened with Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel. She made it to like 18 issues. And then they were like, okay, how about Ms. Marvel be on the limit? And now she's just absent. They tried something new with the Ms. Marvel New Mutants. So they're going to do limited series. Mm-hmm. That's the condition that T'Challa is in right now. So next time we see him, I hope that it's not no Shuri book, because that's a boycott. Anything that says Black Panther and it's not to do with that character is funded. Exactly. Why? Tell them why.
Well, for the simple fact is that he is the particular character. There's no, I know people love, I give you an example. Everybody loves Superior Spider-Man, right? We know it's Otto Octavius. We know that, right? We know that there's a book out, but you're still going to get Amazing Spider-Man. You're still going to get Peter Parker stories. You're still going to get those stories. The same way it needs to be with T'Challa. You still need T'Challa stories, T'Challa-led stories, T'Challa-led adventures, not just beyond just the Avengers. You need all of that. We need his story. So we have to continue that. Shuri is a side character. She's been a side character. No shade to Shuri, but she had a limited series. And I bought that limited series. I think I'm one of the rare people who bought that limited series. You know
because
what
it
I
was
mean?
canceled at 10.
It was canceled. And so what I'm starting to get, what I'm starting to under or trying to understand is that why is, you know, let's say Deadpool, Black Panther, these particular ones, the ones, back in 98 who went under Marvel Knights line because it was getting ready to get canceled. Why are they on the chopping block, but Moon Knight is on issue like 30 or whatever? Then I collect Moon Knight, but he's on like issue, I think, 25 or 30 or something like that. You know
What
what
are
I
you
mean? Right
complaining
now.
about? So the answer is sales.
And I think that's I just can't see how Moon Knight is outselling these guys. You know what I mean? Or, well, I mean, they just rebooted the X-Men again. You know what I mean? But Marauders was going pretty strong, and then for all of it to come to like, to
You're
an
ignoring
end.
something, Dre.
You're not understanding.
You're not understanding that the writers matter. Jed McKay, like who are these writers? You get some relatively unknown, a
True.
novelist who has what's on Ironheart Champions. You got to look at the resume of people, and then and if you just expect the title to sell, comic book readers know this. Now, I asked you a question earlier, and I want to answer it myself. Shuri becoming the Black Panther. For impact, representation is important, but it's not important to take Marvel's 52nd most important valuable character, which I'm calling Shuri the 52nd, and then making her, elevating her up until maybe say 42nd. Like that's not no feat of whoa, look at that, she jumps 10 spots. I'm looking at Black Panther, T'Challa. I'm looking at him. That keeps. I'm looking at him.
You really do not like that microphone right now.
I look at progression and impact at the top spot. So the number one superhero is Spider-Man, we all know. Wolverine, Hulk, Mr. Fantastic, we know who they are. Black Panther's somewhere there. He's like number 10 or number 11. I'm trying to get this guy into the top 5. That's way more better. That representation is meaningful to me, but not for D-listers. Or in Shuri's case,
Exactly.
let's give her B-lister. And
Yeah.
if elevating Shuri comes at the cost of T'Challa, no, that is a foolish move. That is anti-progression, and I will not fall for it. And I will actively boycott vocally on this YouTube
Oh yeah.
platform. Remind everyone not to be purchasing anything that says Black Panther if it's not him. If it's the T'Child, if it's Tosin, if it's anybody new, no. This franchise is not profitable until the lead character, primary character, is treated as such.
Exactly, and I agree with you. And it's funny that you brought up, Shuri being elevated. I went back and I bought a run in I think this is the late 60s, early 70s of Avengers. I want to say it was like Avengers 77 through like 80. It was like 82 or whatever. You know who's one of the main characters of those stories?
Monica?
T'Challa, Black
Okay.
Panther.
Okay.
T'Challa, Black Panther, Giant Man, Thor. I don't think Iron Man is not in it, but he's on the cover. Wasp. You know what I mean? These are the people who are on that cover in the late 70s. I'm trying to figure out. I think this was bothering me about even collecting comics and buying comics. We're not getting those 80 some odd issues where we're telling this whole complete story. You're right. Writers do matter. So let's say if Jonathan Hickman takes over Black Panther, do you think we are getting more than 10 runs?
Why hasn't Marvel ever tried something like that? Even with the success of the movie, they've never said Hickman, Jason Aaron.
Yeah,
They've never said Donny Cates. Why don't you get a shot at this? They've always kept Black Panther on Black Panther tier, lower level kind of writers. And we hope that it becomes profitable after the movies. That's when you say, "Hey, let's give a go," because you gave Jason Aaron the Predator, huh?
and I mean, what the last long run for Black Panther was what Tanishi Coates run the Intergalactic Empire, and that was it. Everything else has been short. And I'm just trying to figure. I'm trying to put it wrapped around my brain. What is the editorial thinking? If you want this character, and then maybe Eve Eunice say, "Hey, this character is super important," and the editors is like, we don't care. We don't care. We won't put a big time writer on it. They're not putting a big time writer on Deadpool right now. All the big time writers are going to other titles right now that they're trying to elevate. You know what I mean? But if the sales are lacking with this guy, hell, what is Christopher Priest doing right now? Who are some of these guys that we could bring back so we could be able to have better runs. So and it's not just Black Panther; it's other characters too. And but I'm focused on Black Panther right now. Why is he?
Same.
Why doesn't he have a writer that could stay and could be able to develop this character and make him king again and all of that?
And that's not an insult at Eve Ewing. That's just more so calling
No,
out and bringing attention to her history, as opposed to Jeffrey Thorne, or you said Christopher Priest. There's guys, there's names. That still, with all that being said, the storyline direction of him not being king is what I point at. Now, in the comment section, I hope I get 100 comments. Do you think 50% of it belongs to Marvel Editorial? 50% of it is the story, honoring the story of being king? Like, where do you ascribe blame? Is it 10% goes here, 30% there? Dre?
this is kind of hard because we don't know what exactly Eve Ewing went through. But I will say this: every panel that I was on, I was the only one who was saying, "Yeah, I was like, yeah, I can wait. Let's tell the story." You guys are like, no, he needs to be king by issue 5. You, Brian, all you guys, you were like, Black Panther needs to be king again. Then I was like, no, let's wait, let's tell the story. And it was like, no, no. And you guys were right. Maybe if you do make him king early, people get on board. People want to read this because you're resetting the status quo. The king of Wakanda is back. You know what I mean? So I got to give you guys your props on that. I didn't see this coming. I really didn't see this
So
coming.
you really didn't think that it could get canceled at 10 when sales dictated? Every time I looked at one of those websites that look at estimates, but you could see
Yeah,
how
you
low.
said
And
that.
now I had a good week where it like came back, and I guess that's because comic stores under ordered the prior. But look, the people didn't come back, and enough for Marvel Comics to go. Let's not risk going another 5. Canceled, and that's where we are. Comment section, give me your take, Dre.
And it's crazy because we got left with Kivu Ma. He didn't like, not no shade against Kivu Ma because we needed other, Black Panther needs a rose gallery, you know what I'm saying? That's outside of just Claw and Killmonger. So I get that. But we got left with Kivu Ma. We didn't get left with him getting reinstated into the kingship. We didn't get any of that. It's just dead in the water. Who's going to take over this comic after that? Or what they doing is canceling this now, letting the Ultimate Black Panther run, see what's going on with that, and then bring them back. What are we doing?
So this is what we got on Kivuma. A final confrontation against the Grey Wolf. After discarding Baba Nikisu, the Grey Wolf has found a new host, the Crime Lord's daughter, Alina Nikisu. And remember, everyone, Grey Wolf is Kivuma, same person. To
Yes.
defeat a supernatural I sound like you. Ticular, and I said supernat.
Don't you
All right.
do that. Don't you do that.
Be a supernatural power so great and to save Alenia from the Grey Wolf, Eater of Souls, Black Panther must call upon the aid of allies new and old. That better not be Namor, okay? And also, it does feel like that's the ending of this story. The Kivuma, you know, and so are you gonna be happy with that? Like they beat Kivuma and that's that?
No, no, I'm not going to be happy with that because you know what I feel like they're going to do. I feel like they're going to bring, when they say new allies and old allies. Who did they introduce in issue 6? We issued his great grandfather. They're
Yeah,
going to bring. It's going to go back to like a King of the Dead storyline. You're gonna see old Black Panthers come back, and that's just what it's going to be. You know what I mean? He might get some help from like Monica St. Croix or something like that, or I can't think of her name. The
Besa.
one who was helping Besa, but that's what it sounds like. And it sounds like it's going to end on a whimper. We could have went into all the politics that was going on, but this is going to end on a whimper to me.
Well, this is the result of spending so much time on Yobi, who just got kidnapped. We just saw
Yeah.
Besa get some screen time. Here's Ileana getting screen. Well, now Baba Nikisu got screen time too, but don't worry about him. He's dead. Here's the Ilonga family with Woro. All these guys getting screen time. And then we had a whole issue talking about the past. A whole issue. And it could have just kind of took care of that in 4 or 5 pages. The whole book was about a past Panther. All of this. And I'm like, yeah, Black Panther. T'Challa is not returned to his glorious status. The reason this character was created. And I know that's why it was canceled. But again, back to the comment section. What percentage of what goes to what? What portion of it is what I just said? Too many characters. What portion of it of your blame goes to writer, goes to editorial, goes to the prior guy? How much blame can you ascribe to the prior guy? Because that definitely, you know,
That most definitely did put a damper on a lot of stuff. The
yeah,
prior
yeah,
guy. Let's be
it
real.
ran it ran off a lot of customers, right?
So okay, so if I'm going to give, because she is the writer, Eve Ewing, I'm gonna have to give her 55% of this, over half, or 60%. I'm gonna give her 60% because you wrote the story. Now you could have went and wrote the story. You wrote the story the way that you wanted to, but knowing the prior history of what everyone felt about the prior writer, you could have took this thing and you could have destroyed. I'm talking about you could have made it like, oh my God, not only the king, he did this, and and he beat up this, and he did this, and these all these adventures to get people excited again. Remember, Egon said Print is dead. The only reason why Print is dead is because nobody's excited about reading something. You got to make writers excited about reading again, like what everybody's talking about Ultimate Spider-Man. People are excited to read that comic. Who's excited right now to read about Baba Nikisu,
I,
or the
I'm
Luganda family? I mean, I like it, but
yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
exactly. If she is behind the scenes battling, trying, and we should be grateful we got this much. And Eve Ewing is like a soldier. That's also possible, and I want to throw it out there, so it's not complete blaming on her. Yeah, but if it is, then yeah, 60%, maybe more than that. I'm gonna go to 80% on the writer.
Because she's the main writer. And you have to give the main writer, if it fails, it's on the writer. It's not on, you can't blame the editorial. I mean, you can, but I mean, look at the 80s. Oh my God. The 80s went through so much crap with editorial, and people were still putting out bangers. In the 90s, oh my God. In the 90s, when you had all the comic artists leave, you had problems with editorial. You had problems within Marvel, DC, everybody was having problems. People was jumping the image. You know what I mean? People were still putting out bangers, the Onslaught Saga, and all these other banger stories. There was no excuses. So again, I do agree with you. The main blame does have to go on the writer if you're not making something that everybody's like, you know what, this is hard. This is they just canceled. I think they just canceled Deadpool too because I went to go like I've been sick. And for y'all that don't know, the reason why I ain't Black Panther out, I've been sick, so I went to go pick up my comics and no Deadpool at all. So
The writer of that was Alyssa Wong, which again, that's not a name, and Deadpool is a name, and you probably should have somebody of higher quality, of a more respected name. Anyway, that's a Marvel issue, and I can ascribe blame there. Does your Instagram post still remain, where you give credit to her? I'll read it word for word. This is why Recast T'Challa was more than just the movies. It was keeping the character alive in the comics as well. All these casual fans who was arguing with us about T'Challa and his importance are the same ones who don't buy the books. Exactly. And why this support falls short. We have to keep our original black characters going, but if the super hardcore fans are the only ones buying this stuff, then you can't say anything about how we want the character to be portrayed on film because you don't support. Let me pause for a second. It's really not that many fans. We're talking about 20,000 units sold could have kept this comic book going. This is a sad day, but thank you, Eve Ewing, for everything you've put into the comic. I completely enjoyed your run and wish we could have gotten more stories. You were amazing and wish you well on more adventures with other characters in the future. Thank you for all you done. You're kind of delusional. You know she's not going to get anything more. After the Black Panther, they've clearly got her in a box. Dre, I think you're kind of delusional here where you're talking about, I look forward for her getting more. She is in a box. Go ask other writers like Kelly Thompson of how, yeah, you can write the X-Men, but it's when we combine you with Matt Rosenberg and Ed Brisson and you do a three-way story that only lasts for 10 issues with the end dates planned. Or we'll let you write Amazing Spider-Man. Look, you're going to go 10 issues of Amazing Spider-Man Beyond, Spider-Man Beyond. And yeah, that's with a end date. We already have the next writer picked. Women writers in this company don't seem to go far. And I don't see her kicking butt so much on Ironheart Champions. What other book? Marvel Voices. This, I don't see such a good performance that they go, we need you on Wolverine. That's not happening. We need you on Thor. You're going to be doing
So I'm
Hulk.
being, yeah, so I'm just being disillusioned right now. I'm hoping for the best, but ultimately, with this is what they're doing. So this is a Marvel problem. This is not necessarily a writer's problem. This sounds more like a Marvel problem.
Now, it was just a you problem for thinking that
Well,
she's got
I can only hope and dream. That's the only thing I can do.
based off of the characters that she's been doing, whether she's been rejecting other offers to do other characters. It looks like she's in the black space. She did Photon. Maybe a Storm comic book, maybe is like a lateral move for Black Panther Storm. That's the next thing I can see her writing. Other than that, they're not going to trust her with a heavy title. What Storm would be a top tier heavy title. Anyways, you enjoyed her story. Cool. It's not. I wasn't necessarily upset at the stories because of they were bad and uninteresting. It's because they were terrible for the time, and it enforced the trash from Lord Voldemort's, and it maintained that status quo. And I complained about it every month, and now here we are.
Hey, you did complain about it, and I think when we did issue 1, like I haven't did issue 8 because I was sick, and now I just start to feel better, so I can be able to record vocally. Um, but you said this in issue 1. You said she had to remove the stink off of what happened from the previous writer, and you said that in the issue 2, and you said that in issue 3. When are we going to remove the stink off of the previous writer? And again, I was listening. I was like, well, maybe she needs to world build. I was giving all these excuses because I was hopeful that she will at least get enough time to be able to world build, bring the character back, all of that. And you kept saying, dude, that's not it. That's not it.
Yeah, because it was not a priority from the writing. All of these new characters, all this world building, and I'm like, yo, okay, there's the cameo of Deathlock, there's the cameo of Monet, and the cameo of Nightshade, and cameo. You know what's really more important than these cameos? T'Challa being the king. I'm the king. Chill. That's a king. Dre. Subscribe to him at the Dre Mag Show. His link is right up there. Thank you.
Peace.
Okay, we're out.